All right. Morning, kids. Just give me 1 second. A little sneeze here. I lost it. Damn it. All right. Let's kick it off. Okay. Last night's session, U.S. markets, kind of a bit of a non-event. We basically moved a little bit sideways on the S&P and the Dow. The Nasdaq did trade up nicely, mostly on the end of the day. We were pretty broadly up in a lot of especially a lot of the high-flying stocks, a lot of the the big tech names in terms of Facebooks and Googles and Apples and Twitter and all that kind of stuff. So those stocks traded well for the most part yesterday. Really led the market if there was any leadership there in the States. You can see that most energy stocks were down yesterday with oil getting hammered. I think oil was down about 2.5% on the session. And we also saw Home Depot is all sharply after news of a possible data breach. It's a bit of a non-event. And then ISM index for factory activity came in really strong yesterday, 59 versus expectations of 57, highest reading in 3 years. Continuing to see the same thing, really strong data sets out of the U.S., really weak around the rest of the world. And so because of that, we obviously continue to see bond yields coming down everywhere else. And relatively holding flat in the States. All right, if we look at what happened in Asia overnight, we had a really power session out of Hang Seng. As I'm looking at it right now, we're up 2% as we're still open on the Hang Seng. You can see there that China also was up relatively nicely. They had a non-manufacturing PMI number that came out to 54.2, a little bit higher than the prior month's number, and it's the strongest number in 17 months, which really comes in contrast to the numbers that we've been seeing that have come out of there the last couple months. We also had positive talks about the iPhone 6 gave China Mobile a little bit of a rally. But other than that, miners were actually really weak in Australia, especially relative to how strong the session was in Asia, which drug the Australian market down a little bit. And I think it's really interesting what we're seeing going on in this mining space here, especially with U.S. GDP growth and with the U.S. data set that continues to come out, and we just can't really seem to get any follow through from the global diversified mining space. So that's a really interesting story to me. I think markets are really still worried about China, maybe telling us that there are big problems to come still there in China. All right, if we look at charts of interest today, we've got a chart showing the Dow Jones Industrial Average monthly performance going back all the way to 1886. The average monthly performance. You can see there's only 3 months that have an average down month. That's February, that's May, and that's September. September being the biggest average down month, down almost 1%. I think that's obviously relatively important. We usually see things, that's why they always say sell in May and go away. May is usually a little bit soft. Then the summer months are up a bit, but then you usually lose that in September. So those middle months usually have a pretty much a zero net effect. And then the end of the year we typically rally. There's obviously some historically significant seasonal effects that go into this. A lot around a lot around the farming side of things and the crop side of things, if you can believe it, and the most of these people only getting really paid for those crops and when they're harvesting them and sending them out toward the later half of the year. And so that's kind of a big seasonal effect that it's had historically. So probably not such a big impact on the GDP of current years, but going all the way back to 1886, that really factors in a lot. So just keep that in mind. Current years may be a little bit less dramatic in September. All right, today we're going to see Discovery with full year 2014 numbers. They came out with a trading statement the other day that looked quite impressive. going to be interesting to dig a little bit deeper into the numbers today. HEPS looking at about $6, Rev at 17.78, and Divi at 77 cents. That's, I think, of Bloomberg expectations, if I'm not mistaken. So we've seen a trading statement since then. We're obviously expecting a beat from that. Australian GDP was out this morning. We came in slightly better at 0.5% versus 0.4 expectations. We had market services PMI numbers out of Japan a little bit softer than the prior month's numbers. Like we said, we had the services PMI out of China was a bit better. We also have that same, the PMI number here in South Africa at 915. We've got the services PMI number pretty much coming out across the entire Eurozone, the UK. Then we've got retail sales in the Eurozone at 11. We've got local business confidence. We've got mortgage apps in the States, factory orders, and the Fed's beige book. So quite a lot of data out today. You know, I think we will take note of Europe. I think the European data is starting to get more and more important, especially going into tomorrow's meeting with the ECB and seeing what they're actually going to announce and if they can actually live up to the expectations that markets have. So I think there's a lot of importance in tomorrow's meeting starting to build right now. All right, let's get into the maps. Okay, if we start out, we'll look here at Investec. Sorry about that, typed in the wrong code. All right, Investec, after the last couple days, really rallying up and closing right at all-time highs. You can see here just a shade below 98.50, I think, which was the previous closing high. We closed at 98.30 yesterday. You know, today is obviously going to be big to see whether or not we can actually pump through. We've had a big bounce off of the pullback that we saw down here into the 88 support level, and I think that, you know, obviously this bounce is getting a little bit long in the tooth. It'd be interesting to see if we can punch through here and get to that 100 Rand level. You know, this one's outrun, I think, a lot of the others as of the recent few weeks. So just watch this one today, I think around 98.50 to see if we can punch through and reach 100. All right, if we look at FirstRand came out with a trading statement yesterday. Very good trading statement, better numbers than expected. What's interesting here is that there's two things. We didn't get above the closing high yesterday, and we also kind of failed at the same intraday high level that we had failed at before. That doesn't take away the solidity of that trading statement yesterday. Whether or not this is priced in is a whole other story. This one has outperformed all the other banks, maybe with the exception of Investec, but it's definitely been outperforming hugely. So I think you've got to watch this closely to see if we can actually get through 44.5 on a closing basis. In fact, let's just see what that closing high was. 44.58. Yeah, we're going to need to get above that on the closing basis in order for us to really take this to the next level and to new highs. So just watch it. You know, it could be interesting today to see how this plays out, to see if that number was really truly priced in or not. All right, let's look at MTN. I'll shorten this up just a little bit here. So this is obviously a little bit shorter term. As you can see, the setups kind of happened over the last maybe week and 7 or 8 trading sessions, making some sort of little flag pattern or descending wedge or whatever you want to call this, a descending triangle. Either way, it looks like we've popped out of the top here a little bit and maybe leaving us room to come up and retest the recent highs here in MTN. If you look at Arcelor, same sort of thing, also popped up out of a bit of a flag, and it also kind of quite at a major level here, maybe a 39.90 or 40, wherever you want to call this. I'll back it out just so you can see there how important that level was as well. So really kind of flagging down, managing to hold on support there for the most part the whole time, and then reversing up higher. I'm not really sure why this one's running so much at the moment, but either way, we've gotten above that resistance at 40. I think this thing's definitely got some room left to the upside. I think we've got probably opportunity for significant upside here, the way this is shaping out in Arcelor. And the last one I'll show is SA Breweries. So SA Breweries as well has, sorry I didn't draw that very well, about 590 and a half something like that. You can see that there's definitely some resistance that comes in, very symmetrical here in terms of how we hitting the levels across the board. And we also kind of had consolidated in this little sideways formation for maybe the last 10 trading days, and we managed to pop up above that yesterday. We're also kind of pushing up against some sort of trend resistance here. Also didn't draw that all that well, but definitely looking like that this is a significant level here. I think if we can continue if we can get another little bit of a push to the upside, I wouldn't be surprised for us to break back up through 600 and have a nice little run from there. So keep an eye on the breeze as well today. And that's it for today, guys. Good luck out there.